They didn't call me, the dumb one, with cruelty. That's the part people always get wrong. Cruelty has edges. It cuts clean. What my parents did was softer, almost affectionate, which somehow made it permanent. It was said with sighs, with laughter, with the wary fondness reserved for things considered unchangeable. That's just him. He's not like your sister. It became less of an insult and more of a category. A role. Something structural. My sister was brilliance in human form, scholarships, awards, the kind of academic momentum that draws admiration without effort. Teachers adored her. Relatives invoked her like a family achievement. Even strangers seemed to sense it, as if competence radiated outward. I was adjacent, not failing, never failing, but never extraordinary in ways that translated easily at dinner tables. The strange thing about favoritism is that it rarely feels dramatic while you're living inside it. No slammed doors. No screaming matches, just a steady calibration of expectations. My mistakes became evidence. My successes became exceptions. Over time, you stop arguing with gravity. By the time my sister earned her full ride to Harvard, the family narrative was fully formed. It wasn't even spoken anymore. It hovered, implied in every congratulation, every sideways glance, every well-meaning reassurance about different kinds of intelligence. I learned to occupy less space. It's a skill. Graduation day arrived with predictable grandeur, banners, cameras, polished speeches. My parents moved through the ceremony with visible pride, absorbing admiration like sunlight. My sister glowed under it, effortlessly comfortable in the spotlight she had always inhabited. I took my seat in the back. Not out of bitterness. Habit. The speeches blurred into a familiar emotional texture, perseverance, excellence, potential. Words designed to feel universal, but clearly tailored for people like her. My parents leaned forward during every mention of achievement, their faces lit with something I had long ago stopped trying to interpret. Then came my father's speech at the reception. He wasn't scheduled to speak, but pride has momentum. He stood glass-raised, voice thick with emotion. To my daughter, the future of this family. Applause. Warm, enthusiastic, unquestioning. And everything we've built will one day be hers. More applause. The Tesla was mentioned casually like a charming detail. The house, $13 million recently purchased, framed as legacy rather than extravagance. People smiled, nodded, approved. No one looked toward the back of the room. Which was fine. Predictability has its own comfort. I remember feeling something oddly neutral. Not anger, not sadness. Something closer to confirmation. The quiet psychological settling that occurs when reality behaves exactly as expected. Then someone sat beside me. A man I didn't recognize, older, composed, unremarkable in a way that suggested deliberate invisibility. He didn't interrupt the applause. Didn't acknowledge the speeches. He simply placed an envelope in my hands. No theatrics, no performance. His voice was low, measured. Knows time. That was all. He stood and walked away before I could ask the only logical question. Who are you? The envelope was heavier than paper should be. Inside was not money, not revelation, not anything cinematic, just documents. Legal, precise, irrefutable. There are moments when the brain refuses immediate comprehension, not from confusion but from the sheer effort required to reorganize long-standing assumptions. I read the first page twice. Then a third time. The name was mine. The signature belonged to someone I hadn't seen in nearly a decade, my grandfather. The man my parents had carefully edited out of family conversations after a disagreement I was never fully allowed to understand. Apparently, he had not edited me out. The details unfolded with sterile clarity. A trust, established years earlier. Structured, protected, quietly accumulating. Not symbolic wealth, actual control, assets, holdings, decision authority. The kind of leverage families assume they understand until paperwork suggests otherwise. Across the room, my father continued speaking, unaware that reality had already shifted in ways no speech could preempt. I didn't stand. Didn't interrupt. Didn't announce. Power reversals built on spectacle are fragile. They invite resistance, debate, Emotional defense mechanisms. This was different. Institutional, unemotional. When the family attorney, the stranger, now unmistakably contextualized, eventually approached my parents, confusion replaced pride with unsettling speed. There is a particular silence that emerges when confidence encounters documentation. Voices lower, postures change, eyes search for interpretive escape routes that do not exist. I remained seated, observing, not vindicated, not triumphant, something more complex. Because favoritism, once internalized, does not evaporate simply because circumstances shift. Identity reshapes slowly, even when external hierarchies collapse instantly. My parents looked at me differently. Of course they did, but perception recalibration is not the same as understanding. No apologies came. No dramatic reckoning. Just a visible, irreversible fracture in the certainty that had governed the family for most of my life. Later, my mother sat beside me. Carefully, as if proximity now required permission. "We didn't know," she said. And for the first time, I believed her, not because ignorance absolves consequence, but because families are often less conspiratorial than they are complacent. Narratives hardening not through malice, but through repetition, assumption, and the quiet human preference for simple explanations. "I know," I said, which was true, in ways she would likely never fully grasp. Nothing exploded, nothing collapsed. But something fundamental shifted shape that day, not dominance, not revenge, but the subtle, disorienting realization that identity is sometimes misjudged not because it is absent, but because no one thought to look beyond the role they assigned you. And some corrections arrive not with confrontation, but with envelopes.